You're watching Retirement News Today. I'm Vanessa Pang. Retirement is scary to think about, the biggest question being something along the lines of, will I be able to save enough money so I don't run out in my lifetime? Today, our guest, Dana Anspach, is going to share her advice and help give you peace of mind. She's the founder and CEO of Sensible Money, a registered investment advisory firm based in Scottsdale, Arizona. She writes for numerous publications, including Marketwatch, and is the author of Control Your Retirement Destiny and Social Security Sense. Dana, first off, how do you calculate how much money you will need to last in retirement?
Well, the way I like to calculate it is by looking at something called the gap. So you start with how much you want to spend in retirement, and I know people don't like to do budgets, but think about it like this. When you go grocery shopping, if you know that you eat an apple a day, then that makes it easy to know you need to buy 7 apples for the week when you go to the grocery store. So it's no different when you plan for retirement. You have to start by knowing about how much you spend every month. So let's say you spend about $75,000 a year. Now you know what your spending is, you need to calculate your fixed sources of income. Things like Social Security, annuity income, perhaps rental income if it's consistent. So let's say you have about $35,000 a year of fixed income that you estimate you'll have. The gap of what you want to spend, $75,000 a year, and what fixed income you'll have is $40,000 a year. So that's the basis of a retirement calculations. By calculating the gap, you can begin to see how much do I have to save to fill in that gap. So a simple way to do it is to say, well, I need $40,000 a year. I might spend 30 years in retirement, take 40,000 times 30, and that's 1.2 million. If you have that much, or you will have that much by your desired retirement age, then you're going to be good. If you don't, then you have to go back to the drawing board and start to figure out, well, what are some of the changes you can make so that it can be achievable?
So when should people start planning for retirement? Should they wait until they are closer to retirement age?
You know, it's natural to wait. I think we all tend to put off planning for retirement because we're afraid of what the answer might be. We're afraid we're not going to have enough and that it's never going to be possible. But it actually feels a lot better to run the calculations and get the answer. And research shows that people are much happier in retirement if they start planning at least 5 years out. Now, I wish they would start planning a lot sooner. The sooner you run the calculations, the sooner you know what your options are. And sometimes simple changes such as spending a little bit less or working a few years longer or focusing on increasing your income can make retirement possible. And you're not even going to know that unless you sit down and run the calculations. It's amazing to me how many people, I would say more than 50% of the clients that we work with, are surprised to find out that their retirement aspirations, I don't want to call them dreams, but just a natural retirement, like can I ever get there, are completely realistic. And it's so much fun to get to deliver that news. And when some adjustments need to be made, people rally. They go back to the drawing board. They figure out the changes they need to make, and we show them how it's possible to actually retire one day.
All right then, so when do you know when you're ready to retire?
Ready to retire has 2 components. There's the financial component, which means you have to run the calculations and make sure that your money will actually last as long as you need it to. And then there's the emotional side. I don't think everyone is wired for retirement. If you're okay spending every day on the golf course or gardening or yoga, or you have community activities or family activities that really inspire you, then absolutely you have something you want to retire to. But sometimes people have that A-type personality. They've been a corporate executive their whole life or run a business. And where your motivation comes from is all of those achievements at work. And so if you're that type of person, you really need to give some thought to what's going to drive you in retirement. What is going to give you that same sense of satisfaction? And maybe you need to think retirement isn't for you. Perhaps starting a small business or continuing to have some consulting work or networking contacts that you stay in touch with in retirement is going to be more fulfilling than just kind of cutting the cord and spending the days, in leisure. It's not for everyone. So give a lot of thought to what you want to do with your time in retirement.
Now let's talk about your book, Control Your Retirement Destiny. What does it cover and what can someone expect to learn from it?
Control Your Retirement Destiny was inspired by me looking at the way the industry does retirement planning and going, they're doing it wrong. So much of the finance industry is focused on the accumulation of assets. And when you go to draw money out, it's what we call decumulation. The stakes are a lot higher. You can't afford to make a bad investment. You can't just go back to work to make up the difference. And so the tools that need to be applied at that phase of life are different. A lot more thought needs to go into it. I think of retirement as the biggest financial decision you ever make. It's bigger than buying a house, far bigger than buying a car. And so as I had started to look at the way the industry does retirement planning, I acquired a designation called a Retirement Management Analyst designation and took what I learned and laid out in Control Your Retirement Destiny a step-by-step plan on how you plan for retirement. How do you actually lay out a transition financially? Who can you hire to help? What are some of the emotional things that you need to think about? But the book focuses a lot on the financial side, lays out case studies, and shows you step by step how you can determine if you have enough and if you're ready to retire.
Dana, thank you so much for joining us today and for your advice.
Thank you. It's been great to be here.
For Retirement News Today, thanks for watching.
Brought to you by the Miller Group.